Hello guys, so we thought we'd share a buffalo hunting story with you. It's one of the big things somebody would like to hunt. I've been very fortunate. I've hunted over 70 buffalo. Buffalo hunting is one of those hunts that can get tricky, but it's generally it's the 5%. And the last hunt was one of those. We'd been looking for buffalo for a few days. We went through a couple of herds of buffalo, some younger bulls and so on. But the story gets too long if I drag it out. So what happened is close to sunset, late afternoon, we found a herd of buffalo, and we made a little stalk in. Some cows spotted us, and we were already on sticks and ready, and they then disappeared into the bush. And we just stood a little while because buffalo, they tend to be quite protective, and they tend to be quite inquisitive to a certain degree as well. So what I did is I made like a calf distress call, and I told the guys to be ready because we had seen the hard bull, and he'd come out, a big hard bull had come out to the side, and I could see it clearly, but the client, he couldn't see it very clearly. It was hidden behind some bush, and I was saying shoot and saying where the shot placement must be. Unfortunately, he couldn't see, and the buffalo disappeared. So people normally think that's the end of the hunt, but what we did is we moved 10-15 yards down the road, and very quietly, because they'd seen us, but they weren't 100% sure. It's late afternoon. They weren't 100% sure what was going on. Just moved there, and I said to the guys, be ready. And I made like a calf distress call, and one cow just had a look at us, and then the next thing, this big old bull came running around the corner, around the bush towards us, and he saw us and he stopped. He stopped at about 30 yards, 25-30 yards, looking straight at us, and I said to the guys, let go, shoot. The client is a bit excited. First shot went into the ground next to the buffalo, and then it ran about 10-15 yards, and then buffalo spun around, and the client shot a perfect shot. The buffalo stumbled and went into a thicket, and the bush down here is very thick. You can see 5-10 yards maybe. We stood back and waited a while just to let everything settle. The herd scattered, and we waited 10 minutes or so, and then we thought we'd follow in. Now, I don't do anything in thick bush without dogs. They've saved me once before, and they did it again. We went in the bush, left trackers and backup PHs outside. Myself and the client went into the bush, and we were meandering through the bush very slowly, very, very quietly behind my dogs. My dogs were following the scent, and they were showing me where danger is. Now, when you're surrounded by dogs, I'd normally take 2 or 3, but I'm busy training up some youngsters, and they almost surround you. So you got like a safety net of 10 yards. And going through the bush, we heard like a bellowy grunt to the front right, and we all heard it and said very quietly, and we went on the blood trail very quietly once again, and then I set my dogs onto it, and I thought I'd seen something dark in front of us in the thicket, so I very quietly moved the guys back, and we went around a thick bush, so we had a little bit more space. We probably had about 10-15 yards that you could see and could react to, keeping in mind that I'm surrounded by the dogs that are like my buffer. And I set my dogs on, and I told the guys stand dead quietly where we were, and right there we thought we saw something. Yes, the bush just erupted, and I could see a buffalo going. I could see it was a bull, and I saw him trying to scoop, and they make a eerie, like bellowing growling sound, and dogs scattering, and I could have had a shot there, but I wasn't sure it was the same buffalo, and I didn't want to risk it, and you don't take chances. So we slowly snuck out a bit further back, and then we could hear, like, with that commotion, the herd moving back. So I said to the guys, move out of the bush, we're not taking any chances. So we moved out the bush. We stood about 40 yards back, and all the dogs were there with me, panting and very excited. And we stood there for about another 5 or 10 minutes, and keeping in mind this is the last day of the hunt. The guys are leaving the next day. They would like to see and finish off the whole experience, see it through to the end. And so I said, guys, let's go a little closer and I'll put my dogs in again and we'll see what happens. Man, my dogs weren't even they were reluctant to go into the bush, and we're 30 yards away, with enough time to sort out any drama. And my dogs were a little reluctant to go in. As they went in a couple of yards into the bush just erupted again, and it was dogs and buffalo and everything. So we moved out of the area, and then yeah, we stood there a little while, and then we called it quits and we moved out of the area. Long story short, we went back the next morning to go, and the guys raced first light before they had to catch their flight. And we went in very carefully the next morning to exactly on the track that we followed the night before. And there where the first contact with the buffalo was, with the dogs and the drama and the snorting and the bellowing and the dogs yelping, from where that contact was to where we found the dead buffalo bull was 15 yards. So he hadn't gone very far, but the herd was in the area, and the herd were protecting and avoiding, not letting us get in. And yeah, no, hats off to the dogs. Save my bacon, and I'd do anything with a dog anytime.